So, driving the transition to renewable energy through standards and emerging technologies in Southeast Asia. It's my great pleasure to welcome our experts who are joining us here today. So we've got Dr. Danita Setyawati, who's a Senior Energy Analyst from Ember Energy. Thank you for joining us, Danita. It's wonderful to have you with us. And we have Dr. Minh Hiep, who's the Acting Director General of STAMEQ, which is the national standards body in Vietnam. Welcome, Dr. Hiep. I would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves and just tell us in, maybe half a minute or so about your background when it comes to renewable energies and critical and emerging technologies and standards in particular, and then we can get into the questions that we're going to discuss in the panel. So Dr. Setyawati, I'll hand over to you first if you wouldn't mind coming off mute and introducing yourself to everybody who's attending here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claire. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm Danita. I work at Ember, an energy think tank based in the UK. At Ember, my role is spearheading the Southeast Asian portfolio, and this includes looking at energy trends, keeping updates on the new energy policy, driving the narrative for Southeast Asian countries to contribute to the global tripling renewables pledge. My research interests include just transition and grid and clean flexibility. And I have been advised numerous government, international organizations with the likes of GIZ, UNDP, and serve as a contributing author to the JETP's Just Transition chapter for Indonesia. And back in 2023, I also published a book with Springer Nature, State of the Art Indonesia Energy Transition. Over to you, Claire.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Setyawati. Now, would you prefer Dr. Setyawati or Danita?
Danita is okay.
Danita is fine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Hiep, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Claire. I'm sorry that I am in the car, right? Okay, I'm Hiep, Acting Director General of STAMEQ. Yeah, we are commissioned for Directorate for Standard Metrology and Quality of Vietnam. We are government body. We in charge in a standard and quality management. I mean, the conformity assessment activity also in our activities. And I'm very happy to be here today. And thanks Australia, Standard Australia, give STAMEQ a chance to join with your project. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Hiep. Okay, so let's get into it. Really, the first part of the conversation that we want to have today is about setting the scene of the renewable energy landscape in Southeast Asia. And so what we really need to do at the start is to understand the current state of play. So we all know that Southeast Asia is a region of immense potential and diversity, and there are rapidly growing economies with increasing energy demands. However, the ongoing reliance on fossil fuels remains a really significant challenge for all of us in this region. However, and despite this, there are some really promising signs of change, and countries in the region are really making strides in adopting renewable energy sources, particularly solar, wind, and hydropower. So the landscape is evolving. We've got a whole lot of technological advancements happening, policy is shifting, and I think we all recognise that there's a growing recognition of the need for sustainable energy solutions. And so what I would like to do really is to ask you, Danita, about some insightful research that you presented last year on ASEAN's green power pathways. We will send it to everybody in the group following this session, but it would be really great if you could give us an overview of, from your research, a background to this energy landscape in ASEAN and the current trends, the key drivers that are shaping the landscape for renewable energy in the region.
Right. Thank you. I think we all agree that ASEAN is a very dynamic region and changes are happening very rapidly. Changes in politics, changes in economics. But if you're looking at the power sector data, and of course you can download the power sector data from Ember's website, it's readily available and it's free. Transition seems to be happening at a slow pace and at the country's own pace. So with the exceptions of countries that are located in the greater Mekong regions blessed with hydropower. Other countries like Indonesia the energy transition to solar and wind is happening quite slowly. And from my research, we found that fossil fuel importing countries could be the driving force in championing renewables. For example, like Vietnam, and maybe Dr. Hiep could explain more about this later, but the PDP-8 has the most ambitious solar and wind plan for Southeast Asia if you compare with other Southeast Asian countries. And also Singapore is planning to import a lot of renewables. Malaysia and Thailand could also be the, as we call it, renewable energy ambassadors for ASEAN. And the other thing is expensive LNG pose risks for ASEAN countries in balancing its energy security, affordability, sustainability, and energy transitions in its economic development context. So the $1 million question would be, how do we deploy more renewables in ASEAN?
Sorry, thank you. Yes, that is the $1 million question, or the $7 billion question, or more than that, maybe.
Or the $20 billion questions.
The $20 billion
Indonesia's JETP.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Thank you so much for that really great overview. Dr. Hiep, your organisation is playing a really crucial role in setting standards and quality assurance for renewable energy projects within Vietnam. What do you see as the role of government policies and the regulatory frameworks in promoting the adoption of renewable energy in the region? And can you give us some examples from what's happening on the ground in Vietnam?
Okay, thanks, Claire. STAMEQ, we support the government to not only develop and updating national standards, but we also give the certification and quality assurance services to help the enterprises to approach with the energy transition. So in this case, we also have another mission to propose for the regulatory framework for the government. I mean, the policy advisory for the government. So in that case, our government policy, as Dr. Danita talked, we also have some initiative. For example, just this month, we reviewed the new electricity law. It is also one of the very important activities to create a comprehensive legal framework to address the challenges faced by Vietnam energy sector. Another thing, as you talked before, is National Power Development Plan. I mean the PDP-8, to set the ambitious vision to shift the energies from the fossil fuel to the new technologies such as the battery storage, hydrogen, and ammonia. And another activity from government to provide the financial investment and also to encourage the foreign investment. That is important because Vietnam, we get the much attention from other countries to cooperate. But if we don't have such kind of new policy to encourage them, it's very difficult to have the investment project. And that is our sharing with you in Vietnam case. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Dr. Hiep. I think the question about attracting investment is one of those enduring questions, I think, for all of us in the region about that. And I think that we'll talk a little bit more about some of those other regulatory challenges as we go on throughout the panel today. But Danita, your recent report highlights that ASEAN's power growth is still really reliant on fossil fuels, and that the contribution of renewable energy is declining even as we're attracting investment into building renewable energy solutions. What do you see as the primary barriers that are preventing the region from accelerating its transition to renewable energy, and what are some of the ideas for how we can address this?
Yes, thank you, Claire. Yes, so I think the primary barriers we need to see ASEAN as through its individual countries, right? Because country variation exists in terms of policy, in terms of their renewable space, in terms of political commitment to the transition. So for example, in Indonesia, coal is kept at artificially low price, so renewables price is not competitive against coal. In Vietnam, grid update is needed, so therefore Vietnam would need a lot of financing to modernize and to strengthen its grid to better absorb more variable renewable energy like solar and wind. And also in ASEAN, there's a lack of grid interconnections despite the growing appetite for renewables from Singapore. I read that it would be great if the solar energy from the Australian desert could power the whole ASEAN region, but then it would need a massive investment on the grid. So the barriers would kind of vary from policy, from the technical constraints, from investments. So there's a whole system perspective that we need to look at if we're trying to find the solutions for ASEAN's energy transition.
Yeah, thank you. So country by country as well as a holistic view by the sounds of it. Yeah, thank you. I think one of the things that I think has really changed over the last maybe 10 years, maybe the last decade, is about the role that emerging technologies have within this energy transition. And so I feel like everything is shifting. Government focus is shifting, the recognition by consumers is shifting, and then also we have new technologies that are coming online that are enabling new ways of thinking about energy that we haven't thought previously. So these are things like advanced next generation energy storage, smart grids, and also the way in which artificial intelligence is enhancing efficiency and reliability, as well as assisting with the sustainability of renewable energy sources. So, some of the areas where I know, for example, that artificial intelligence is being used is to optimize both on the production side and then also on the consumption side. That there's new materials going into solar cells that are able to operate with kind of increased efficiency and have relatively lower production costs. And solar microgrids are enabling communities to have their own kind of environments, smaller communities to generate and manage their own solar power, reducing that kind of central power grid reliance. So these are all advancements that are assisting us, but and helping Southeast Asia to accelerate its transition to a cleaner and more resilient energy future. But I guess what I want to think about is it would be great to hear from you, Danita, some of these examples of how emerging technologies such as the advanced energy storage and smart grids are transforming the renewable energy landscape in Southeast Asia, and what are some of the most promising innovations in this space. I did some very top-line research. I know you are a very deep researcher, and I'm sure that you can share some really great expertise around the things that you are seeing across the region that are beneficial to share within this kind of broad group to give some food for thought.
Yes, thank you. And I agree that we need to take advantage of this development of new technologies, especially AI. And with your doing this share of knowledge about better standards of AI, I think is also very important. But especially for the ASEAN energy transition, smart grid is transforming because it would better prepare the countries to deploy more solar and wind. So countries like Vietnam, they don't need to curtail its solar energy generation anymore. For example, like Malaysia also is upgrading its grid. Currently, there's about maintaining 5% of solar absorptions, but with smart grid technology, Malaysia can absorb more solar energy, perhaps up to 20%. The other emerging technology is also energy storage, which can balance supply and demand once solar has taken off. So other countries in Southeast Asia often refer to Vietnam curtailments, but with the energy storage, they don't need to curtail the solar energy that will be fastly deployed. Other emerging technologies could be pump hydro, that could be potential for the greater Mekong sub-region grids. Thank you.
Yeah. So those are some amazing kind of technologies that are available. And I guess there's always this dichotomy between you have the technologies available, but then you need to be able to use them within the countries that are interested in them. And so, Dr. Hiep, I'd like to ask you about what are some of the key challenges that you are seeing within Vietnam in terms of adopting and implementing these emerging energy technologies, and how is it that STAMEQ, like what's the role that STAMEQ plays in helping to overcome these kind of obstacles to ensure a smoother transition to renewable energy?
Yeah, thanks, Claire. I think we have the several challenges, but for me, I think 4 key challenges we think that I would like to share with you. The first thing related to our update of infrastructures, of our current infrastructures, and how we can integrate, for example, the conventional energy resources with the new technology, advanced technology like smart grid, ITO sensor, and other AI-driven management system. The second challenge is related to our policy gaps. So, we have the new electricity law, new, DPP8, but it's still remaining the circular from the ministry, and also the decrees from government should be reviewed to fill up the gap in our policy. The third thing related to the technical capacity, the limited technical capacity, for example, storage technology, and also laboratory testing laboratory. In Vietnam now, we don't have the testing laboratory for some new emerging technologies. And the final thing is related to the investment. I still would like to say that the investment from foreign country also one of the challenges. And how STAMEQ we can have support to overcome this system. I think the first thing is we try to harmonize our national standard. That's a key point, because if the national standard cannot achieve with the international market, we cannot work and get a partnership. The second thing is we try to upgrade our testing infrastructures, and also reviewing our law. We are reviewing our law on standard and technical regulation. In this case, if with the new technology cannot test in Vietnam, we will accept the test report from other country. That will help our countries can use the other advance. And another thing, I think the collaborative engagement. For example, we get the support from SA, from PTB from Germany, and also from BSI from England, because I think the public-private partnership also very important. And finally, I think we will strong propose to government to change the regulatory framework. The regulatory framework should go align with the technology advance. So in this case, I think it will help to support the Vietnam to update our contact with the new emerging technology. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Hiep. It's always great when you put forward the 4 problems and then you have the solutions to address the 4 problems. So it's obviously something that Vietnam is thinking about really clearly. I think that idea about harmonizing the national standards with international gives us a framework to enable collaboration across countries, as well as thinking about the situation within countries. Gives us a framework to be thinking across countries as well. And to take that back to you, Danita, are there examples where you've seen successful implementations of emerging technologies in the energy sector within ASEAN, and whether there are lessons that can be learned from those that might help to accelerate, in the region?
Yes, I could think of several technologies, and these might not be emerging technologies. But first of all, is the rooftop solar. They can be very much potential with the right incentives. And I think in Southeast Asia, we need to have big plan, but we could start small, right? So rooftop solar for buildings, commercial buildings, government buildings, and for households, I think they could ramp up the renewable energies pretty quickly. The other emerging technology would be demand-side management, for example, energy efficiency for industries and buildings. And I think Philippines has also like a clause about dispatch priority in their Renewable Energy Act. So prioritizing the electricity generation from renewables rather than from fossil fuels. And then the last emerging technology would be smart electrifications or optimizations of charging EVs and the use of heat pumps or electric stove in accordance with the sunny hours on a daily basis, given the fact that electrification is rapidly happening in ASEAN.
Yeah, it seems so obvious in our region where we have so much sunshine that we should be thinking about all of our rooftops across all of our buildings in all of our cities to think about how we could utilize this lazy asset. Is that what we would call them? The lazy assets that are just sitting around. Thank you, Danita. Dr. Hiep, you mentioned about collaborating with international organisations. How is STAMEQ going about collaborating with international organisations and other ASEAN countries to promote the adoption of emerging energy technologies?
Yeah, thanks, Claire. Under our ASEAN umbrella, we have several activities in the ACC's SQ, I mean, conformity assessment, activities. But for other international organizations, I can share with you that we have now cooperated with the PTB from Germany to develop the quality infrastructure for PV, and I mean the photovoltaic panel. For the UNOP, we also have the new project to develop the standard in the fields of wind energies and the battery energy storage system. And we also just kick off a new project with the UNDP with the standardization on the fields of battery energy storage system. And yes, we are also very interested with the SA in your slide with the AI management system. That is I think very important for our government, because now you can see that the security is also important and how the government, other ministry can pay much attention for that. So I hope that that project will be very nice with our government. Thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure. I think that when you start to open Pandora's box of the emerging technology, you just see that there are more, the challenges that we face as countries get bigger. We need to think about the next thing and the next thing. So yeah, absolutely. I think we've talked a little bit throughout the discussion about the impact the government has in relation to this renewable energy landscape. And so our third topic around overcoming policy and regulatory barriers is hopefully going to unpack this a little bit more. It's not just a technological challenge, this transition to renewable energy. It's definitely also a policy and regulatory one, as we've talked about a couple of times already throughout this panel discussion. Governments have a really crucial role in terms of shaping and guiding the pathway of energy transition, and that's both the enabling environments that enables the adoption, so creating the environment that enables it, and then encouraging the adoption of renewable power technologies is kind of the two sides to that. And it's both at a policy level and then also at a regulation level. And I was having a bit of a look around in preparation for this discussion that we're having today, and I found a really interesting piece of research that the International Renewable Energy Agency had put out that suggests that there are kind of 4 areas that policies and regulations have to focus on. One is about phasing down fossil fuel. One is about thinking about the infrastructure that exists. And Dr. Hiep, you've already spoken a little bit about this, replacing inefficient equipment. Danita, you spoke about the shaping the power market to integrate higher shares of renewables when you gave that example in the Philippines. And then, the fourth area is this idea of maximising social and environmental benefits. And so this kind of section of our discussion is really about discussing how governments and regulatory bodies can create a more conducive environment for renewable energy investments and the transition. And so I'm going to ask each of you to answer the same question, but it's really about what are the most significant policy and regulatory barriers that are currently hindering the adoption of renewable energy in Southeast Asia, and what do you think other ways to address this? So this time I'm going to start first with Dr. Hiep and then come to Danita. Yeah, Dr. Hiep, over to you, or maybe not such good timing. Maybe Danita, we'll go to you first.
Okay, thank you, Claire. Yes, so I think for the region to create a conducive environment for renewable energy, first of all, there's a need to be adjustment of the market structure. So in fossil-dependent countries, there are no off-takers for renewable energy. And like the state electricity company do not have the incentive to purchase renewable energy because fossil fuel generated electricity is cheaper. So I think adjustment to the market structure is very important. And as Dr. Hiep has also mentioned, the introductions of DPPA or third-party agreement to maximize this renewable energy purchasing could also be beneficial. And it's not just only on the policy side, but also ensuring this DPPA and TPA really works from the top-down perspective, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this idea, so these are the most significant ones. And then how can the governments and regulatory bodies create the more conducive environment? So is there a policy aspect to it and then a regulatory aspect to it?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Oh, sorry. So there's kind of two there, and just to apologize to everybody, we've lost Dr. Hiep for a minute, and so Brendan's going to try and dial him back in again. So that's what's happening there, just so everybody on the call is aware. So we have this kind of, there's the policy and regulatory barriers, and then there's the barriers that exist, and then there's creating the right environment. They're kind of, do you see them as two sides of the problem, Danita?
Yes, so I think introducing a conducive policy is one thing, but making sure that policy is really enforced and widely understood by different ministerial office, because you know that Southeast Asia bureaucracy is a thing here. Like we want to get something done, like the president has to say it, but then he also needs to coordinate with a lot of other stakeholders. So from the policy side, policy is important, but of course, having the people that could champion this policy and to implement this policy on the ground is equally important. And having the policy widely accepted by the people, widely accepted by all the stakeholders, so there's no resistance in bringing all of this together, this recipe together for renewables future, right?
And then, not wanting to put you on the spot, but have you seen some examples of where this has worked really well in your research that you have been doing?
So when I was researching about the rooftop solar policy, it was first introduced, I think, back in 2018 or 2019 in Indonesia, and it worked very well because the rooftop solar adopters can export their excess electricity to the grid and receive like about 65% compensation from the usual tariff that they pay to the state electricity company. But unfortunately, Indonesia recently abolished this net metering scheme that kind of incentivized this whole solar panel adoptions. So I won't say it's a best practice, but like if this policy could be reversed. And I know that in Thailand, the government is also pushing for this rooftop solar policy and introducing some incentives, I don't know, like ease of like solar panel purchasing and with a low interest rate. So that could also work.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely a multi-pronged approach that we need to take. Yeah. Brendan, how are we going at getting Dr. Hiep back? Is he back? Yes. Aha. Welcome back, Dr. Hiep. So putting the same question to you, what do you think are the most significant policy and regulatory barriers hindering the adoption of renewable energy in Southeast Asia, and perhaps from your own context? And how do you think they can be effectively addressed? Sorry, Dr. Hiep, you may be on mute. No,
Dr. Hiep,
Brendan.
no, Dr. Hiep, I don't know what's happened with your audio. Can you hear us? We can't hear you. Could you check your settings? Could we, Dr. Hiep, could we maybe ask you to log out and log back in again? I'm very sorry. We don't seem to be able to get your audio. I'm so sorry.
This is always what happens with technology. You see, we think that we are all across it, and then things go wrong. We'll give Dr. Hiep a minute because it would be great to hear from him if we can. All right. All right. We'll just take a minute, because then the final part is about looking ahead.
Hello. Can you now?
Oh, we can hear you. One moment, Dr.
Excellent.
Hiep. I'll put you back on screen. One moment.
So I sharing you our story. So I think if the government we focus on the NQI for new emerging technology for energies, we can see the overall comprehensive journeys of our target. For example, in Vietnam, we would like, when we want to work with the PV, yeah, okay, we focus on the national quality infrastructure for PV only. So in this case, we can see, okay, what is standard, international standard? What is the testing we need? What is the calibration or methodology we need? And what is the accreditation system we need? So I can say that the NQI is the key approaches to help us to see the comprehensive, the new technologies or a new system. That is my idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, both of you, for your views on that. The final part is really this kind of opportunity about looking ahead and thinking about what comes next. And I think as a collectively, and this is why community of practices are so good, because it gives us the opportunity to together envision the kind of steps that we need to think about to secure this cleaner, greener tomorrow for both Australia and Southeast Asia. And we've talked a little bit about some of the opportunities of living in, the sunniest part of the world and harnessing that. But there's also these opportunities around emerging technologies and some challenges that come with that around building resilient and sustainable energy ecosystems. And it's clear that it's work that's going to be required from governments, from industry leaders, and then also from communities to implement these policies and invest in the solutions and then generally cooperate together. And I felt that one promising step in this direction is the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation for 2026 to 2030. The new theme for this piece of work is about advancing. I'm going to read it to you. It's a long name, but it's advancing regional cooperation in ensuring energy security and accelerating decarbonisation for a just and inclusive energy transition. So it really covers all of those things about government, about industry, and about the communities. It's the new 5-year theme that's building towards this vision of secure, resilient, and interconnected low-carbon ASEAN energy future. And I was really heartened to see that it's a forward-looking agenda reinforced by discussions on emerging energy technologies, such as some of the ones we've discussed today: smart grids, advanced energy storage systems, hydrogen, ammonia, electric vehicles, bioenergy, artificial intelligence, and blockchain, all of which have been deemed as poised to strengthen ASEAN's energy resilience and sustainability. So I feel like there's this very strong framework in place across ASEAN at a multilateral kind of level to be thinking about energy resilience in the region. And I wanted to ask each of you, if you could highlight one priority that you see for ASEAN's renewable energy transition over the next 5 to 10 years, what would it be? Danita, I'll come to you first. What would be your kind of key priority within this framework for the next 5 to 10 years that you think that we should be focusing on?
Yes, thank you, Claire. So I think since the APEC theme is advancing regional cooperations, so grid modernization and upgrades means the ASEAN power grid should be the key priority for this region to move forward with the energy transitions. And I think with this unifying grids could also de-risk some of the like investment risk for investors, and also creating more opportunities for investors that wanted to kind of build renewable energy projects in Indonesia, but then export it to Singapore, or like, so all of these sharing of renewable energy resources would be possible with this unifying grids.
Yeah. This is a really big collaborative project to imagine that there could be one grid, or to work towards this idea of one grid across the whole region. Yeah, thank you, Danita, about that. It would be great to think that's possible over the next 5 to 10 years. Dr. Hiep, what about you? What would be your one key priority for ASEAN's renewable energy transition over the next 5 to 10 years?
For me, I think there are two points. The first is the cross-border interconnection between ASEAN countries to facilitate the energy trading and connecting the supply and demand. And another thing, I think the energy storage solution, that is also one of the key issues for ASEAN member countries. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah, they're really powerful ideas, and I think really all harnessed on the idea of cooperating across the region, recognising that we're all in this transition together. And so finally, I just wanted to give both of you a chance at some final thoughts before we move into questions from the audience. Are there some key messages that you would like to leave with the attendees of this amazing event today? I think I saw that we've got at least close to 50 people here. I expect that we've got some policymakers, maybe some industry leaders, also perhaps some researchers who've joined us today. What's the key message, Dr. Hiep, that you would like to leave the audience with today about this challenge of energy transition?
Okay, the key message from the developing countries, yeah. Okay, I think open the door and collaboration and working together with the partner. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And Danita, what about you? What would you like to leave the audience with today in terms of your kind of key messages, final thoughts?
Yeah, so I think solar and wind is slated to increase by 2030. So everyone must prepare for this increase, and how we can absorb this variable renewable energy is very important. So we all must work together and just keep positive thoughts about transition is really happening in the region.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you both so much. It's been such a great conversation, and I feel like we've covered a whole lot of ground. But now we can open the floor to questions from our audience. So I can see that there's lots of people here today, so it'd be really great to hear from you. If you have questions for our experts, please type them into the chat. And maybe I'm going to have a look at the chat, and Brendan might help me out a little bit with this one in terms of whether we've got some questions coming in. I think I saw a message from you before, Brendan, saying if you've got questions, put them in the chat. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
We
also, yeah, look, we love it as well. If you want to raise your hand and you'd like to put your camera on, we'd love to spotlight you and bring you in. But this is this is a really great chance to ask any pressing questions that you have of our two experts. So please, I might put on a little background music, Claire, if that's all right. A little bit of thinking music. We'll give everyone 1 minute.
That's a great idea, Brendan.
Okay, so one moment, and just let me know if it's too loud again. All right.
It was very loud before, but I was enjoying it.
Oh, okay. Whoop.
Might encourage people to go. What do you think?
I was going to ask one, if that's all
you
right.
go. Yes, Brendan, you go ahead, and
Yeah,
then
look,
maybe I'll ask one, and then we can encourage
okay.
all of our friends online to get involved.
I'm just going to spotlight myself. I'm going to I'm going to bring back our two speakers. I'm going to spotlight everyone, so we're all nice and easy for everyone to see. Sorry, one moment. Okay. So my question, so for both of you, would be, what role do you believe public awareness and community engagement play when it comes to the success of renewable energy projects, and how can we enhance these efforts throughout Southeast Asia? You know, one of the things that I loved that, Dr. Hiep, you were talking about was collaboration. And, as a national standards body, one of the things that we always want to think is, it's not just, we don't want to just collaborate with industry or government. We also want to bring, our end user, our community along for the journey as well. So maybe if I could just sort of start with you, how do you, as I said, how do you think public awareness and community engagement would play a role with energy transition?
That is very important, I think, because we cannot success if we not get the support from people in community. So in this case, our Ministry of Telecommunication, we have several programs to sharing the vision, also the clear mission for the citizens, both in the central government but also in the local government. The second thing is we also organize some contests, the contest in the TV show to have to give the awareness for the people. And I think another thing is from our government, we have clear strategies to announce and give the message for the people to get the awareness. So, for example, now we also have big project in Minh Hiep province related to the nuclear, for example, nuclear powers plant. So in this case, we also have several activities to get awareness from the communities, and with the support of the communities, we can implement the project easier. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks. That was a great answer. And I'd love to hear, I'm going to touch base with you a little bit after this. I'd love to hear more about these competitions. We're always trying at Standards Australia to think about new and different ways to engage our stakeholders. And that sounds like something that's really interesting. So when I do touch base with you about the AI management standard training that we're running, I might also ask for a little bit of information from you there. Claire, it looks like we have a question from Margaret in the chat. Would you like me to read it out?
Yes, you go ahead, Brendan. You're doing a great job.
Okay, fantastic. So it says, so this is from Margaret, and she says, under the ASEAN Ministries of Agriculture and Forestry, there's been a project on the promotion of renewable energies through biomass towns supported by the Japanese government. The project could see on this as well. So maybe more of a comment. Margaret, do you have I'm wondering, do you have a question sort of to maybe add on the end of that comment? And please, as Claire said, don't be shy if you'd like to jump in. Oh, great. We have another question here from City. So it says, how should our young talent prepare to develop their skills needed to navigate the rapid technological revolution for our energy transition, aligning with industry needs and economic growth? Danita, I might start with you. Would you like to answer that? And then I'll give Dr. Hiep a chance.
Yeah, sure. So I think what we're lacking in Southeast Asia is actually the academic courses on energy modeling, on energy transitions. So I think there needs a reform in our university courses and what skills and what trainings that would be available. And I think the young talent should be innovative and they can also participate in some youth energy movement, and they could be creative these days, right? We're living in the internet era. So yeah, I think that's the answer.
Fantastic. Dr. Hiep, anything to add from your perspective?
I think we also should encourage the young generation to join with us because this is a long story, right? And we don't have I mean the enough expert. Our expert just to show the current situation, but we need to see the future issue. So in that case, my comment is we also should to encourage for the new generation to join to start the journey with us from now. Thank you.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Brendan, just to add to that, because it was very encouraging last week when we were in the Philippines for the CT program, and we went to the Technological University of the Philippines. The students who were fourth-year students in the engineering courses, when we asked them this kind of question about, this was about critical and emerging technology standards in general, but lots of the ideas that the students came back with were to do with sustainability and energy efficiency in the context of what they had been learning. And it was so encouraging because I think, like Danita has said, there's not always we need to encourage that and also recognize that perhaps some of the younger generations are the ones who are going to have the deep thinking about this, because it's right at the forefront of their learning. Thank you. Thank you. I think and I can see that the chat has now turned into a back and forth between Margaret and Danita. So thank you. But we do have a question from Matthew about this one. Do you want me to take that one, Brendan? Are you going to go through that one?
I'll read it. I'm happy to read it.
You go.
So from Matthew, and it says, my question is, how confident are the speakers and audience members here today that we're doing enough to promote and incentivize the profession of welding and international standards for welding processes and management, especially ISO 3834? The basis of this question is the fundamental importance of fabrication and welding in construction. Many of the renewable energy facilities, and equipment, wind and turbines. And thanks for hosting the topical community of practice. We love that. Thanks, Matt. So would anyone like to just raise your hand, Dr. Hiep or Danita? Who would like to go first with that one? Can anyone talk to welding? Dr. Hiep, thank you so much.
Yeah, I love this question, and also it's also our issue. In our government, we not pay so much attention for the standard for the welding, because welding is the processes, we focus on products, and welding is not product, it's a processes. But I think for the new how to say technology, for the new energies, the welding standard will be very important. And from my side, STAMEQ also, we are planning to propose to government to have technical regulation related to the welding standard, and to adopt and implement that standard in our industry. Thank you.
Fantastic. Danita, would you like to touch that one at all?
I don't have experience in this, but
No,
I imagine
no
welding
problem.
is very, very important, right? To make sure everything doesn't just crumble.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have time for one more question, I think. Just if anyone does have a last question, you could quickly type it into the chat, or if you want to be brave, you could potentially raise your hand and ask it to our wonderful panel. And Matthew sends his thank yous there, Dr. Hiep, for answering that question. Thanks, Matt, for interacting with us as well.
And I also thanks, Danita, for coming back to Margaret about the biomass question. Thank you so much for sharing that. So just for those who can't see the chat, Margaret was asking a question about the linkages between industry and the agricultural sector. Danita, do you want to just quickly touch on your answer there? Because that's perhaps something that we didn't know.
Yeah, so in the latest Embers report published last year, ASEAN Clean Energy Insights, we calculated and we compared the levelized cost of electricity from different energy sources, and we found that biomass is actually the most expensive ones compared to other energy sources. And actually in other Embers reports on biomass and on the UK, biomass has quite high emissions, and it's quite difficult to kind of measure these emissions, because it involves transportations from, for example, if you use palm oil, transportation from the emission from transport and emission from other processes. So I think introducing the standards for biomass use and limit the emissions could be useful. Yeah.
Absolutely, thank you. That's a great way to end on the view that standardization at different points within the energy transition is going to be really valuable. So yeah, couldn't have put it more perfectly myself, Danita. Thank you so much. I'd really like to thank you and Dr. Hiep for joining us today. It's been so fantastic to have this discussion and to be able to open it up to this community of practice. So thank you so much. And I'm going to hand back to Brendan, who is going to take us to the next part of our event for today.
So I just want to say a huge thank you to Claire for hosting that. I thought you did a wonderful job leading our panel, and to our two fantastic guests. Danita, one thing that I really loved, and you might have seen me scribbling notes. This is the only piece of paper I could find. It was a bill, an envelope for a bill, but there was one thing that I really loved that you said, which was big plans, but start small. And I thought that was such a, that's something, you talked about what can we all do? And it's all really great to have a framework to think about where we want to go and to have a big picture, but it's also about those quick wins and those little things that we can do. So I thought that was fantastic. And I thought it tied quite nicely into thinking about our next section, which is all around action planning, and we're going to hear an update here from the Bureau of Philippine Standards. So I'm wondering, Myra, are you there? Could I bring you up to our virtual stage? And could I ask you to turn your camera on? I've got your slides in the slide deck, Myra. Oh, there's a bit of an echo.
So are you going to share the presentation, or I can actually do that?
Would you prefer to? Okay,
Yes,
no
please.
problem. I'm going to stop sharing. But what I would like to do is I would like to welcome Ms Myra Magabilin, Supervising Trade Industry Development Specialist from the Bureau of Philippine Standards. And Myra is going to be taking us through BPS's Critical and Emerging Technology Action Plan. Myra, over to you. You should be able to share screen.
I think I can.
Nhà Nam có mía đấy.
Có cái hiện ISO của chúng ta.
Bắt nó mình có cái này.
Hi, Brendan. I don't have any. I cannot share.
Okay, one moment. I'm very sorry. I'm not the meeting organizer. Let me see. You should be able to. You can't see the share button?
No, it's disabled.
Okay. Myra, I have your slides if it's easier. You can just tell me next slide and I'll go to the next slide. I'm very sorry.
All right.
Nó không ai mua được không? Thôi nhà này. Sự tạm tâm mình.
Myra, we just need to ask you to unmute. I'm sorry, there must have been someone sort of sitting near you and there was a bit of an echo. So I just muted that person. And if I could just ask you to unmute on your computer, and I've got your slides up on our screen.
All right. Can you hear me? Is it okay?
There's an echo.
Yeah.
Can I ask, is there another person next to you with a laptop turned on? Could I ask you to get them to mute the laptop? You're on mute.
What about now? Sorry.
Still the echo. I'm wondering, could you turn? Yes. So if you see the chat, we can hear maybe the voice from the other device. I don't know. Let's see. If we unmute the other device, because we had your voice.
All right. Is it okay now? Is it better?
It's still an echo.
Oh, apologies.
Just while we're waiting for just a little bit of an audio test there, I understand we had a little bit of technical difficulty with people entering the workshop a little bit earlier. So just while we're waiting on Myra, just to get those audio issues fixed, I might just quickly loop back to something that we talked a little bit about earlier that not everyone might have heard. Standards Australia will be hosting some workshops April through June that are very relevant to this program, the Critical and Emerging Technologies program. So we're launching some training around ISO and IEC 42001, which is known as the AI Management System Standard. And that addresses some of the unique challenges that AI poses, such as ethical considerations, transparency, and continuous learning. So we will be, along with some leading experts, will be providing training that is targeted to government, industry, and third sector leaders from eligible Southeast Asian countries to increase their awareness of the AI Management System Standard and how its implementation can support addressing AI risks and promote trustworthy AI adoption and deployment. So we will be running 8 one-day workshops throughout the region, as I said, through April and April all the way through June. You can see the countries on screen that we'll be visiting. The dates and venues haven't been finalised just yet for this program, but if you would like more information or to be kept aware of when we are launching the applications around these, please do reach out to me after this workshop, and I'd be happy to provide you with more updates and how you can apply to take part within this program. Now, I might just come back to Myra. Myra, are you there? Let's go. Let's see. Can
Hi,
we?
Brendan.
Okay, we can hear you perfectly.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry for the technical glitch.
You don't apologize. I think we're having one of those sessions where just anything that can go wrong will go wrong, but we're soldiering through it. We've got your presentation up on screen. All you have to do is just say next slide, and I'll go to the next slide for you.
Okay, pleasant morning and good afternoon to everyone. So today, let me give you an update on the progress of the Philippines action plans on CET. Next slide, please. Also, this presentation consists of two parts, or three parts, I mean. So on the first part, I will present the action plans as well as the targets, or what we call in the action plan as SMART goals. The next part will give you an idea of how the intended plans progressed from the time we presented it last year, and the final presentation is on the future actions of BPS from here on. Next slide, please. So, all right. So there are actually 6 plans that we aim to achieve. Our consideration when we targeted the action plans was the acronym SMART, which actually stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And for these action plans, except for the one action plan that we'll present later, all of the targets are expected to be delivered within the year. Next slide, please. So as one of the SMART goals was to increase the participation of experts in international standardization. The target was to increase the participation of national experts, both in ISO and IEC, to 5%. The next SMART goal was to have an established network and engagement with relevant stakeholders. And for this goal, we have to have a new engagement with 5 relevant stakeholders in sectors such as AI, smart cities, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, nanotechnologies, and quantum computing. Next slide, please. So SMART Goal 3 was to increase stakeholder awareness in CET. That is, we want to conduct webinars and other IEC campaign to mainstream CET standards to key stakeholders. SMART Goal number 4 was to identify the standardization needs of stakeholders in priority areas. That is, the target is to develop an annual work program where CET-related standards are included in the work program. Next slide, please. SMART Goal 5, actually, we want a sustained assistance to CET stakeholders. That this goal actually is related to SMART Goal number 4, so that the target is not only to identify the CET standards, but in the work program, but also to ensure that the work will be carried out up to the promulgation of the standards as Philippine national standards. So why are we doing that? Because we want the standards to be easily accessible to our stakeholders. And finally, this is SMART Goal number 6 is a harmonized CET standards in ASEAN. We are aiming to have at least one standards in the CET sector, not within the year, but probably by 2026. So Next slide. So these are the areas of engagement and activities where we believe are crucial in achieving the targets. For instance, in BPS Technical Committee meetings where the priority areas for standardizations are determined and to be included in the work program. And also because it is in the technical committee where standards are developed and are adopted as Philippine national standards. We also see interagency meetings as one of the activities where we can increase our network with other national government agencies and probably identify some potential experts that may be engaged in our standardization activities. And of course, we also value the participation in ASEAN meetings because of the our action plan number 6, where we want to harmonize the standards across the ASEAN region. So next slide, please. So how did we fare so far in the implementation of the Philippine Action Plan on CET? Next slide. So for goal number 1, since last year, we have seen the rise of experts who signified their intent to participate in international standardization. So just to give you some statistics, last year, we have 37 experts involved in CET-related technical committees participating in both ISO and IEC. And currently, our experts have already increased from 37 to 47. So because there are 10 new experts who signified to participate in AI, additive manufacturing, and smart cities, while there are 4 new experts who signified as observer member in quantum technologies, hoping that they will in the future participate as P member in the newly created committee in ISO on quantum technologies. So did we achieve our target? Yes, we did. But achieving the goal does not mean we should stop. Absolutely not. This should not be, or this should be a continuing effort to ensure that Philippine position, and if all ASEAN members will do the same, the position of developing countries in international development will be considered. Next slide, please. So for SMART goal number 2, we actually targeted involvement of 5 new relevant stakeholders. Why are we doing this? Because we want that our sphere of network is not only confined to those that we usually meet in technical committees, but also to reach out to other organizations who may have stake in the standards that we are developing. So for this goal, there are new entrants. We were able to achieve the target of 5, actually 6 stakeholders are now engaged. We have 2 from the academic sector, 1 from a professional organization, which is an umbrella organization of an engineering professional organization. We also have 1 from the private sector, from the telecom company, and 2 national government agencies. Next slide, please. So for goal number 3, we targeted to have an info session or a webinar and an awareness raising session to sensitize the stakeholders about CET, and another webinar probably to mainstream a specific CET standard to a targeted stakeholders. This is actually an ongoing activity. We have not yet achieved the target, but what we have done so far was to allow university students, as Claire mentioned earlier. We had an engagement with the university, but even before that, there was one technical committee meeting where university students were acted as observer in the technical committee meetings. Next slide, please. So for SMART goal number 4, we aim to develop a work program for 2025 to include the standards related to CET. And the work program for 2025 for BPS is already posted in our portal, which is regularly updated. And yes, it already includes standards on CET, particularly cybersecurity and information technology. This is, I mentioned, an ongoing activity because we are still seeking the inputs for other CET-related technical committees. For SMART goal number 5, next slide, please. We are aiming to promulgate relevant city standards to make it locally available. So far, this second month of the year, we have already promulgated 13 IT standards. You might be wondering why we have already 13 standards when it's only second month of the year, because this is a spillover of what we have done last year. So we have already done the consultation. So this February, the entire process of developing standard has been done, and so the standards were promulgated. And the next slide, please. SMART goal number 6 is the most challenging of the action plans we have identified, because this goes beyond the Philippines. And this remains to be a pending task for BPS. We intend to submit the proposal to the ASEAN working group that harmonizes the standard. And the aim is to have at least one standard in CET sector. I heard Dr. Hiep earlier that there was one AI standard that I think can be identified as one of those that we can harmonize. So at this point, I would like to take this opportunity to solicit the support of ASEAN members who are here right now, who are participating in this program. 6 of us are already here. So, and the remaining challenge is to encourage the 4 other AMS to support the program, which I hope this will not be as difficult as in the other sectors. So next slide, please. So just to highlight some important milestones that we have achieved in terms of international participation, and these are the following. Participation of young professionals in the IEC Young Professionals programs talk about developing skills of young professionals. This is one of the programs which our young professionals can actually attend, because this program allows them to understand how international standardization is being conducted. And so we are blessed to have 2 participants in this program from 2021 to 2022, 2020 to 2022. Next is participation of our experts in international meetings. So last year, actually we had 4. We also attended in the plenary meeting of the additive manufacturing in September 2024. And the major highlight for this year's activity is the Philippines hosting. And then I'm announcing this because we have already signified our intent to host the additive manufacturing technical committee, plenary, and working group meetings that will be happening in September 2025. Next slide, please. So what are our future actions? Of course, the next steps that will be undertaking is the preparation of activities for the ongoing and the pending tasks, such as the conduct of webinars to sensitize our stakeholders, and hopefully to encourage them to engage with our standardization activities and to prepare and present the proposal and justification for the harmonization of standards in CET and ASEAN level. Maybe our friends from Standards Australia can help us in the justification, just seeking your, your assistance on this. And in all of these activities, we want to highlight that continuous dialogue with users of standard is an important element of standard stakeholder engagement. Thus, we need to build stronger relationship with our stakeholders, identify as much relevant stakeholders as possible, and understand their needs and expectations. I think that is the last of this slide. Thank you very much for having me and for your attention.
Wow, thank you, Myra. That was a fantastic presentation. I think it's, BPS should be very, very proud of themselves to have achieved two of those actions, and some of those are ongoing, which I think you're making great strides in as well. And I loved how we talked about the harmonization, and you tied back to Dr. Hiep and some of the things that he was talking about. So certainly Standards Australia would be happy to help you push forward with goal number 5. So maybe that's something that we can talk about a little bit further offline. Now, I'm very conscious we're right at the very end of things, so I'm going to wrap this session up very, very quickly. Just again, letting you know we do have some upcoming training that we're going to offer very, very soon. In the post-event email, I'll put some more information about this AI Management System Standards workshop that we're going to be running and when you can expect applications to open for that. We also do have a fellowship that we are going to be running here in Australia around infrastructure. Again, without trying to keep you too long, I will give all of the information around this in our post-course email that I'll send out. So the last thing for me to do is to just sort of say thank you so much for attending today's session. Look, we have had some technical issues, but we've soldiered through it very well, I think. So what we'd love for you to do is, if you could just take 5 minutes of your time, I've put the link here in the chat to this post-event survey. We'd love it if you could spend 5 minutes going through it. If you don't have that 5 minutes now, I totally understand. I will also include this link in the post-event email, and just any feedback that you do give us, we do take on board and we do use it to try and make our sessions better. So with that, I just want to say a final thank you to Danita, to Dr. Hiep, to Myra, and of course to our wonderful panel interview host, Claire, for all of your contributions to today's session. I'm wishing everyone a fantastic rest of day. And please, as well, if you are interested in any of the things that I send through, you can reach out. There'll also be a copy of this recording available, so you're more than welcome to share that on to anyone in your network as well who you think might be interested in today's session. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for bearing with us with those technical issues. Bye.